Be the Talk, episode 195, featuring Melanie Johnson. Welcome to Be the Talk. We go behind the talk 7 days a week for tips and techniques to help you change the world. I'm Nathan Eckel, and a talker myself. I'm interviewing others who change the world with their talk. You can too, even if you've never given a talk before. Let's get started with today's show. We are live with Melanie Johnson. Melanie, are you ready to talk?
I'm ready. Thanks for having me, Nathan. Really appreciate it.
Melanie Churella Johnson is a 10-time best-selling author. She has owned and operated 2 television stations in Houston and Dallas. Melanie has been in front of and behind the camera after she won the title of Miss Michigan and was first runner-up to Miss America. She built and marketed the Houston Mansion. Melanie is currently the owner of Elite Online Publishing and charity auction Consignments. Melanie Johnson, welcome to the talk.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here. You are great in getting me on. You have a terrific show. You guys should all watch it. Make sure you subscribe to his show. It's a great one.
Melanie, thanks so much for the kind words. Your recent branded talk is called Leaving a Legacy. The Time is Now. But as a fellow person who is, running a publishing company, I didn't quite get that far. I listened to it with different ears. I heard rapid documentation. I love your systems for helping people record and video and just get their thoughts out there. I've been beating this drum for years. Maybe people will listen to you talking about it. Take us behind the talk. Leaving a legacy, the time is now.
All right. So many people, first of all, the baby boomers are dying off. I hate to say it's kind of morbid, but, thousands a day, and all that information is going with them. And 80% of the people say that they want to write a book, but most of them don't because it's too daunting. Just like you said, oh my gosh, I don't have the time. I can't do it. So we show you a lot of different ways why you can do that. So one of the first ways you can do it is you can repurpose content. How many people have written journals, and they have journals all over the place? If you're a business owner, you may have a blog that you've written. There's a great story about these guys who had all these blog posts, and they curated them and put a bunch of them together and made a book. And then the book became a movie called The Minimalist. So talk about repurposing to the nth degree. So you can repurpose stuff, which is a great way to do it. And then we have this system, I think, that you're talking about that I call the 10 by 3 by 3. Mm-hmm. So let's say, when you're at a dinner party, so many people say they can talk, but they can't write. To sit down and write is so laborious. But if you ask them what they did or about their expertise at a dinner party, they would go on and on and on. So we say, think of the top 10 most frequently asked questions that you get about you, your business, your expertise, your service. Jot them down. And it can be 10, but we say, we're going to give you 3 minutes to do that. And most people come up with 50. So you have 10 to 50 frequently asked questions. Then think of the should ask questions. So these are the ones that if they knew what you knew, this is what they would be asking, right? So that kind of inside behind the scenes of the expert, let's say you're a real estate agent and they're asking you, well, how much should I price my house? Well, what you should be asking are, what are the other houses going for in the neighborhood? And let's run all the comps for the last, 60 days and see that. Then on top of that, then what you want to do are come up with stories. So people relate to stories, right? So you have the answer to the question, then think of a story that illustrates it that happened to you, but it doesn't have to be something that actually happened to you. It could be something that happened to Nathan. You might have said, Nathan told me this story when I was out to lunch with him the other day. And oh my gosh, it's so perfect for this thing that happens in my business. It could be a story that you read about in a magazine or online or heard on a news story. So just compiling those stories. And we say, if you can have 3 stories that illustrate those questions, the answer to those questions, that's great. If you have more, it's even better. And then come up with the aha moment that puts it all together. I always say it's kind of like a minister. Joel Osteen, I'm from Houston, Texas, so Joel Osteen's really big here. He does this so well. He says the scripture, right? And then he gives illustrations that are real life illustrations. And then he pulls that back. And I love the saying he always says, so what does that mean to you? And then he pulls it together and you're like, aha, now I get it. So if you take those questions, take the 3 stories, put the aha moment there, bam, you have a chapter to your book. So it's pretty easy, and it doesn't take that long.
Leaving a legacy, the time is now. And you're watching this talk universe and you're thinking, hey, Nathan, why are you and Melanie talking about this marketing and documentation? Well, that's what the talk is all about. It's not about marketing. This is about so many people. And it used to be worse before we had the smartphones, before we were taking selfies and selfie videos and documenting everything. Now it's almost becoming a little bit too much. But I mean, Melanie, I think to speak on her behalf, I know for me, I was beating this drum. Come on, guys, document your life, share your ideas. And part of it's because I used to teach instructional design at university, which is all about getting the subject matter experts' ideas out there. You are an expert. You got to get this stuff out there. Melanie just gave you a whole bunch of great ways to do it. And if you don't remember it, you got to watch her talk because that's what she talked about in the talk. So really, I'm kind of turning this around, and, the cost of not sharing and unlocking your ideas is a life and a legacy that is diluted because we don't have a record. I mean, imagine George Washington not recording his ideas, or nobody walking around. If you're famous enough, you've got a little bit of an entourage and little scribes to do all this for you. But for you and me, we have the technology. We can do it ourselves. Melanie, back to you. Is that a fair way to summarize your talk?
Definitely. I mean, if you're not recording it, it's lost. So it's gone on for generations that the older generations always says, oh, if the younger kids only knew, they don't know, they're not doing it right. Well, excuse me, leave us a roadmap, please. If you can tell us all the things that you screwed up, that you shouldn't have screwed up and why, and fix it, then guess what? I might not make those mistakes. And, Carnegie was the one who commissioned the book. What is it? Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
And that is why is that book so famous? Well, because he had interviews, all of these people of what they did to succeed, what made them profitable, what made them think and grow rich. And that has been like this Bible for entrepreneurs and business people for centuries now. So if everyone would do that, then pass on that knowledge, whether, your knowledge is about life experience, maybe it's about in your business, whether you're a plumber, you're an electrician. We've got a great author. He's coming out with his second book, Mike Magnia, and his is about things that he has shared with his grandchildren. So leaving on like why you should be responsible, why, if you're not taking action for your choices in this world, then you're a whole sum of your choices. But it's giving the things that he made mistakes on along the way. And so he's writing it for his grandkids, but we're opening it up to everybody else so they can learn from it as well. So even if I tell people, the nth degree is to be able to publish it, whether you're going to publish it by having YouTube videos, whether you're going to make a book out of it, whether you're going to make a blog post out of it, but you have it so you're sharing it with others. It's nice if you share it with your family. That's awesome. And I think start there. But if you're not doing just that, then please open it up so everybody else, because it's proven when you share that knowledge, it goes on for 4 generations. Think about that. The imprint that you make and seeds that you plant in your family and others can go on for 4 generations. That's huge that you can make this impact.
Well, I think that says it. Melanie Johnson, leaving a legacy. The time is now. We've been enjoying this conversation with Melanie, and we're going to be right back with Melanie in the Blitz Round. People ask, how could I start a 7-day-a-week podcast? It's because of what I've learned from my mentors. Some of the best mentors in history aren't around anymore. They've left hours of one-on-one mentoring behind in their books. Each month at Classics on Tap, I record a new chapter from a classic business book to help you make a difference. Download your first chapter at classicsontap.com. And we're back with Melanie Johnson. It is time for the Blitz Round, where I'm going to ask Melanie a series of either-or questions related to the preparation and performance of her recent branded talk. Melanie, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. First question. Are you a memorizer, an improviser, or a blender?
Improviser.
How does that work for you?
Actually, it works pretty good. I'm good on my feet. Like this interview.
Yeah, I bet. Now, obviously, I'm asking the first runner-up to Miss America whether she had nerves or was in the zone or neither or both. But I'm going to ask you that anyway. This is a TEDx talk. It's a branded talk. What was the experience like for you in that area?
think you have to have both. I mean, anytime I'm on stage, whether I'm doing a speech or competing for, Miss Michigan, you have to have those nerves that get you energized and you've got it up and then you're in the zone. If you're just in the zone and you don't have that fire in your belly and those butterflies in your belly, I think you're not totally in the zone.
So it's a reframing thing for you, and you step into the resistance and almost like you surf that wave all the way down, or would you describe it differently?
Yeah, I think once I get on stage for an on-stage type of thing, it's got the nerves and you're with the anticipation. And a lot has to do if you have a live audience too, because it's that reception that you're getting back. You're feeding off of them. And that helps you get in that zone and take it even further. If you don't have a great audience and they're not laughing when you think they're supposed, you told a little joke and you got no response, then that's when you've got to do the reframing, right? And improvise. So you've got to be good on your feet because things happen. So on my TED Talk, just a short little thing, I walk out there, I'm all ready to go, and they realize they didn't give me the clicker. And so I look down, I'd only been out there for maybe 15 seconds, and there's a guy on his knees in front of me at my feet, handing me like, hey, here's your clicker. I'm like, talk about like throwing your mojo off, right? And then maybe a minute or so later, I go to do the clicker and I do this and it flies out of my hand. Like, really? Can anything else go wrong in this TED Talk? So, I got to walk over. But then again, you have to improvise and just go with the flow. So you can think you're going to be in the zone, but expect the unexpected.
Okay, Melanie, other than Velcroing the clicker to your hand, what's a tip, technique, or a tool that would help you?
For speaking?
Yeah.
I think practice is great. Make sure you've got down what you want. You have the concepts in your head. Practice in front of a mirror, record yourself so you're used to hearing your spouse, especially if you haven't done it. I mean, if you're a seasoned professional, then I know guys that go out there and they're like, I'm ready to go. I've done this like 1,000 times, right? So, but if you're getting started, I think practice is always good. And listen to other people. Like, if someone has a tip for you, hey, I listened to you. I think you should do this better. Always try and improve. Always try and get better. Be open to people's opinion. Don't take it as criticism. Take it as, I can maybe get better or use this in a different way. So that's some of my tips.
We've been enjoying the Blitz Round with Melanie Johnson. And before we go any farther in, we want to let you know where you can go to actually watch her talk, Leaving a Legacy. The time is now. You can type that into YouTube. If you don't want to type that into YouTube, go to our show notes page at BeTheTalk.com. We'll have a link there where you can watch that, as well as another link where you can connect with Melanie. Her website is EliteOnlinePublishing.com. EliteOnlinePublishing.com. And in a moment, we'll be right back with Melanie Johnson's final word of advice for you, Talk Universe. Everyone wants to change the world, but not everyone knows the first step. Before you can change the world with your talk, it has to be selected. So grab the templates, timelines, and tools that I use to get my talk selected at BeTheTalk.com. And we're back with Melanie Johnson. It's time for the final word of advice.
Hey, we were talking about leaving a legacy, and most people think, what do I have to leave a legacy with? So if you're thinking you're too small to make a difference, why do you think a mosquito feels? Right? A mosquito can really be irritating and it can make a difference. So never think you're too small. Never think you don't have enough information or your life experience doesn't count. Everything you do can count and make a difference in somebody else's life. So please share it. And I encourage everyone to write a book, become an author, put your work out there, share it with the world. Don't keep it all to yourself. Don't be selfish. Share it with everybody else.
Well said. Melanie Johnson, thank you so much for coming on the talk today and sharing your wisdom with Talk Universe.
My pleasure. Thanks a lot, Nathan.
Thanks for listening to Be the Talk. For tips and resources to help you change the world, go to BeTheTalk.com. See you tomorrow.